GHRT Rewinds are brought to you by Laughlin and Wolfington Team. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Find out what your home is worth online instantly at LaughlinWolfingtonRealty.com. This is the George Hill Rick Tyler Show, and heaven knows just when we need her most. Behind the BPG and SS7A with her guard dog, Chloe, who will lick you and love you to death. From Moving Mountains Mental Health, Emma Swift. Welcome back to GHRT.
It's actually Richards.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Following the congratulations on your recent nuptials.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Best wishes. No, you don't say congratulations to the bride.
Best wishes.
You say best wishes. You say congratulations to the groom because you think
get it right, George.
You finally got it.
I never get it right.
No.
But anyway,
Good morning, guys.
We welcome you back. We're glad everything went well. And your honeymoon in Aruba went well, and
yes,
everything is good.
ARDS.
So you're going to be busy now.
I'm always busy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
I get busier. I think this week I have been.
Yes, she is
insanely busy.
It has been an insane election season. And it's not over yet, and it's not going to be over for a while. We've asked as a question of the day to listeners, are you witnessing or experiencing division? We put it in the GHRT air quotes.
Yep.
Following Tuesday's election. Now, a couple of people are writing to us saying that, well, where I work, I'm seeing a lot of smiling faces, and people seem to be getting along. Some people are very quiet about how they voted and how they feel about the election. And then you see some of the stories, and maybe they're just magnifying the exceptions and not the rules. Out of Portland, I saw the Portland Press Herald with an item about a lot of people are upset, not to get into the actual politics of it, but how do we move forward? How do we unite after a divisive event like an election?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've had to have a lot of conversations. Honestly, not as many conversations as I would have thought about the election this week at work, but some. And just the question that I get is just like, Emma, how do we move forward? Like how, regardless of how you voted, regardless of where you stand, regardless of how you feel about the election, how do we move forward after something like this? Because regardless, I'm seeing, particularly on social media, a huge influx of negative on both, regardless, across the board. There have been increased negativity, and that's causing a lot of stress and anxiety. And leading up to the election, I saw a lot of social media that was like, who's scared? Who's anxious? Is everyone as anxious as we are? Right. And regardless, it's across the board, right? There are just people that are scared and frustrated and upset, and there's all kinds of emotions. So how do we move forward? And I actually shared something, so you guys know how I like quotes and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I found something that I really liked that I've been sharing and reading to a lot of my clients. I read it to a client who was really struggling yesterday. So here's what we do. It's called Instructions on Living in a Broken World. Lean into community. Seek out love. Applaud the good that you see. Keep paying attention. Talk to your neighbors. Dance to the music and embrace art. Look for love in small joys. Take breaks and relish in nourishing your body. Donate what you can. Linger at the dinner table with friends. Check in with your people. Let yourself grieve. Love one another as deeply as you can. The storm is upon us, and we must hold on. Don't give up. We're here together.
I'm glad you opened with that, because a majority of Americans were stressed out before the election.
Yep.
Forgetting what happened on election day. Post-elections, it is normal that emotions are going to be running high across the country, in a country that is basically 50 or 51 or 2 or 3%, whatever it is,
right,
split. You have varying political views. Many people are emotional about it. I've run a few, not many. I haven't seen the social media things you have. From some have pride, some have disappointment, frustration, fear. These are all things that people who in your business are going to have to deal with. The one thing that I saw on the negative side was people saying because they were led by pollsters. How did this happen? That I saw that more than anything else. those are people who were frustrated.
Right.
Now, the other side said, hey, gee, this is what I wanted. So
there was a lot of relief. I saw a lot of relief this week too. There seemed to be across the board either an extreme amount of fear and frustration, or also an extreme amount of relief. Right, and I see it from every aspect. I work with people who are in their 60s. I work with people who are 8 years old. I work with people from all kinds of economic backgrounds. I work with people who are very diverse in so many ways. And it was just something that as a counselor, right, I have to meet wherever that person is, exactly where they are, and then be like, okay, what do you want to do with these feelings? Right? What do you want to do with this reaction that you are having? And how can we do that in the healthiest and safest way possible, given our current resources?
Someone once told me that it takes a human being about 6 months to fully overcome, on average, and I can't even believe this stat, okay? Takes the average human being. Let me stop right there. I don't think there's such thing as an average human being, right? Takes the average human being about 6 months to overcome an emotional assault. That was the term that they used, an emotional assault. And there are those who are viewing what happened Tuesday into Wednesday, either at a state level, you're unhappy or you're happy with the results, or on a national level, you're unhappy or you're happy with the results. You may have gotten emotionally assaulted, and it's going to take time for you to get back to who you were.
There's actually some validity in what you just said.
Yeah.
So one diagnosis that I can provide as a mental health counselor is something called an adjustment disorder. So what that means is something happens to you and you are experiencing some sort of distress, and you may not meet the criteria yet for an actual mental health disorder, a persistent mental health disorder. So someone may come to me and say, I'm experiencing an extreme amount of stress about this latest election, and I don't know how to deal with it. And if they tell me they're having these things, but they don't really have any other significant symptoms or a history of it, I may provide them an adjustment disorder. Now, do you know what the time frame that the insurance company tells me is typical for an adjustment disorder? It's 6 months.
Is it?
It's 6 months.
No kidding.
No, I'm not kidding you. So at 6 months, I am supposed to reevaluate. And now that doesn't mean that someone can't meet the criteria for an adjustment disorder beyond 6 months, but that's the benchmark. So there is some validity to what whoever told you that. There was some validity behind, like, roughly 6 months is a benchmark that insurance companies use to measure how are you handling this thing that you're reacting to. And so, and every 3 months, we review treatment goals in mental health. So it's a 90-day review, right? So every 3 to 6 months, every 3 months, and then the subsequent 6 months, we're checking in to see benchmarks and progress. So there is some validity to that, Rick. There is sometimes a pattern to how long it takes the human brain to adjust to things.
But by the way, the person that shared that with me was a recipient of the care of which you describe, and it was a divorce. 6 months. And I just find it hard to believe that we've actually got ourselves, after eons and eons of human beings being born and raising and dying, that we can actually get it down to 6 months. Great. It's November 12th, and I'll be better. December, January, February, March, April. Come see me in mid-May, okay, about the time for Memorial Day. I'll be fine by then.
Right.
But I guess it depends on how invested you got yourself into an event, how much you might have gotten hurt. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into that, which is why it's a benchmark. It's not a rule, right? Like with the Red Sox, George, every year, how long does it take?
20 minutes and I'm done.
And you fully recovered 20 minutes after?
Yeah, I'm ready
after
for
the
football.
loss?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, wait, you just made a great point. Look at this, George Hale made 2 great points.
Look at you go.
He moved in George's scenario. The Red Sox let us down again. Okay, and then you look forward to the Patriots, and then the vicious cycle continues. Looking forward to something else.
Yes,
I've run across a little bit of it since I don't spend a lot of time out in public anymore. I go home. The one thing I noticed with myself.
Yep.
Now, what Rick and I do for a living, you've got to be up to date on what's going on.
You have to. It's part of the job.
Prior to the election, we can't sit back and just be out ignoring the thing.
Right.
You call this a living?
Well, whatever we do, whatever we suck it into. But the one thing I noticed about myself was the day after the election, and now a couple of days later, I simply don't want to watch the news channels.
Yep.
I'm bored with it. I've seen it. We had an election. It's done. We move on. Hopefully, we could say that every election. But I'm not interested in why you were wrong, who screwed it up. Everybody's blaming the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking last night. Jimmy, I got into ESPN Plus so I could see a game. I didn't want to hear all that garbage anymore. Now, that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people can't do that.
Just imagine if you hadn't consumed all of that to begin with.
Well,
How fast the recovery would be,
and
right?
a lot of people, George, it's not the news, it's social media. So instead of saying, I don't want to see it on the news, I'm getting a lot of people, friends, clients, that are like, I quite literally can't handle being on social media right now.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a normal, I feel like that's not, I don't like saying the word normal because there is no such thing anymore, but it's a typical response, right? We see that where people are just like, I tell people, you should do that. If you're feeling that way, granted, when you do something like this for a living and you need to keep up on the news, it's one thing. But if you are able to take breaks, get off social media. Get off social media. Take a break from the news. Filter what you are watching. Go find something that you like to watch. I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls for the 30,000th time from start to finish.
Love the writing.
That's my comfort show.
And the pacing.
Yes, the
right?
pacing, the writing, the quick talk, the banter. Mm-hmm. It's a great show. My husband's probably rolling his eyes right now if he's listening because he's seen it. The other day he asked me, he's like, how many times have you listened to this theme song? And I was like, well, here's the thing. I've lost track of how many times I watched it all the way through after 20. But if you do 20 times however many episodes of Gilmore Girls there are, it was over 3,000 times that I have heard this song.
And worth every note.
Yes. Yes.
Because, and maybe we need to go find our happy places.
Yes.
And maybe if you go and find your happy place, it will take less than 6 months to recover from an emotional assault.
Be intentional. That's what I keep telling people. Whatever it is that you're doing, do it intentionally and ask yourself, what is it that I actually need right now? What would bring me some joy? And how can I go about doing that so that I can feel better?
What scares me is those that find joy out of venting on social media.
Diary book.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
What a great way to put it. You're right.
I mean, and for some people, it is your right to do that. Mm-hmm. And I tell people the unfollow button is beautiful.
And you know what? Love a lot of people.
Yep. And you don't have to unfriend them. You don't have to completely cut them out of your life. But if you don't like some of the things that they are posting and they are causing you stress, that is their opinion. And their opinion only holds as much value as you give it. Okay, so unfollow, keep them as a friend, check in with them if you want to, and unfollow their posts because it causes you distress. What's the point of that? Allow people to have their opinions, right? And try, and I understand there are all kinds of arguments about this, but we have to try to not let other people affect our peace in general.
One thing I heard more than anything else was, thank God it's over.
I said that, but when I walked in, didn't I? And then you're like, hey, it's not over, though.
Well, it's not over. Also the fact that within a couple of years, we're going to be at it again.
Oh, yeah, 4 more years.
It doesn't happen every 4 years. It happens every 2 years. And people are already now jockeying. Right. So whatever will be, what is it, the old song from Doris Day, whatever will be que sera.
I believe que sera, sera is what you're going to be.
Don't we also have a governor election coming up next year?
Well,
very soon.
We have a.
So you'll see again the jockeying, the positioning, the campaigning, and it'll
the division.
Be underway. Yeah.
Yep. So I'll be back, I'm sure.
Hopefully, and alcohol is either going to be the solution or the cause of the problem around the Thanksgiving table when you've got to get together with the in-laws that just don't see things the same as you do.
I actually had some clients tell me that they weren't going to attend Thanksgiving this year.
Wow.
They were just going to take it easy, stay home, and not not wonder if that's actually going to be a thing this year. And I say take care of yourself and do what you feel is best for you. And try to be as respectful as you can when you express your boundaries.
Now in a fancy new location in Hermtown, Moving Mountains Mental Health. Emma Richards, where do we find you online?
On Moving Mountains Holistic Wellness on Facebook, and that will link you also to my website.
GHRT Rewinds are brought to you by Laughlin and Wolfington Team. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Find out what your home is worth online instantly at laughlinwolfingtonrealty.com.